Director in the Office of Data, Research, and Accountability with Fayette County Public Schools. Please join me in welcoming Billy, Hart, and Kara as they guide us in understanding how school systems and organizations develop and stick to robust research agendas.
Good morning. I just want to do a little bit of introduction. Most of this session is actually going to be you doing some work. So one of the things we want you guys to take away from this is actually somewhat of a finished product where you're able to go home and actually have somewhat of a research agenda, at least in the form of research. I know some of you guys have more pre-work or are a little bit further into it, but we want you guys to have something to take back with you. So we're going to have actually a long session where you can do a little bit of a pair sharing and talk about yourself and develop something. Okay. A little bit about me and where I work. I work at the Legislative Research Commission. It was actually founded in 1948 as a fact-finding service body for the Kentucky General Assembly. So it's not that long, but it's got a pretty good history there. It's a 16-member. It's actually governed by a 16-member panel for members of both houses of the Kentucky General Assembly, and it's members of both parties that have to be on it. I work specifically for the Office of Education Accountability. Okay, and it was actually formed in around 1990 as a response to the Kentucky Education Reform Act. It was actually groundbreaking legislation that really, it was a response to Kentucky being consistently at the bottom of most state education rankings. So the Kentucky General Assembly came together and they wrote the Kentucky Education Reform Act. And that really started us on an upward trajectory in terms of education policy and moving ourselves forward. Now, with the particular office that I work with, it's the Office of Education Accountability, and that was formed in response to that. And we really have two different divisions. Overall, we employ 14 people. We have two divisions. We have an investigative division, which they actually go out and investigate improprieties in different districts. That's actually the scary part. So if I go to my daughter's school, I say, hi, how are you? Hi, where do you work? Oh, I work for OEA. They all of a sudden climb up, they don't want to talk to me. And they're actually super secretive. I kid you not. I never know who they're investigating, even though I'm in the same office. I'm co-equal with their division head. I never know what they're doing. One of the guys in my division, one of the guys who works with me, I heard his, he wound up at, his wife's office mate was being investigated by OEA. They both found out about it in the paper. It's like, oh, did you know that you guys investigated my office mate? It's like, no, oh, it says so right here. So that's how secretive they are. But I'm actually in the happy part. I'm in the research part. So that's actually a very good thing for me that, I have all the back and the scary part, but I'm a happy-go-lucky guy, and it's really good. One of the benefits of this, we're doing a particular study right now. We have 173 districts throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We sent out a survey to 173 superintendents, and it turned out we actually had a 100% response rate. So it was actually wonderful news. So it's good that we have a very high profile. And in terms of the research division where I work, a little bit about that. We do three reports a year. They're actually pretty heavy tomes. They're about 100-page research papers. Excuse me. This year we're doing a study on attendance, so we're looking at chronic absenteeism. We're looking at how it really affects the Commonwealth, where in particular we have pockets of high chronic absenteeism where there are certain things that impacts more or less. We're also looking at preschool and kindergarten, so half days compared to full day, and also factors of post-secondary success. The research topic, we actually don't choose our research topics, so that's actually sort of a good thing and a bad thing. So our research topics, we might give recommendations to our subcommittee. We report to the Education Assessment and Accountability Review Subcommittee, so it's a statutory committee. So we report to them, and they actually determine what we have to study. Okay, we might give recommendations, and we speak to them about what kind of data are available, and whether or not it's going to be an interesting study. But they have the final say on everything. Okay? So we discussed the topics ahead of time. They actually also must approve the research agenda by December 1st of the preceding year, so we have about a year to present it. So we're presenting in August, we're presenting in September and October, and then we repeat the cycle. We choose 3 new topics, or they choose 3 new topics with our recommendations, and then we move forward. My main job is really to look at the questions, look at the research agenda, try to plan specific questions that we feel a little bit, that we feel would be more interesting. Try to develop the timelines in terms of data acquisition, in terms of other things, that we're studying, and we'll try to advance that, try to keep people on task. That's really my mandate for our presentation. So we actually wind up presenting an open meeting for the youth subcommittee. The good and the bad thing about that is sometimes it's up to the youth subcommittee members to accept or adopt or not adopt our research study. So we could theoretically work for months and months on something, and they look at it and they really don't like it. And they could actually say, well, that study that's been working on for months, we're not adopting, we're not publishing it, and even though this is an open meeting, there's really going to be very little record of it. A couple of things, a little bit more about the LRC and my role. It's actually all nonpartisan staff that we work with. We don't discuss politics at work, and that's actually very, very refreshing in a lot of ways. We have to realize that we cannot be taken seriously if it appears to one member of the General Assembly that we're taking one side or the other. So it's actually a very good place to be, because you don't have all the politics that happen at work. The other thing that we have is they're actually very high publication standards. They're actually they're so high, and they could maybe be a little bit on the strict side. So there are a couple of things. We have to have approved templates. We can only use one approved template, so all of our reports are quite similar in form, which is good and bad. It can seem like you're reading the same type of report over and over, but also you have to remember our key audience. One of the things that we're really trying to do is our key audience is the General Assembly, and we want them to be able to digest the reports quickly and have a thorough understanding of the reports and to know what to expect. Okay. So we have to look at margins. We also have to, with our tables and charts, they have to be very specifically done. I would say you want the dollar sign to have to be put a certain way. You have to have it on the first line and not anywhere else. Something that really got to me at first was I was yelled at for using data labels. So when you put a data label on top of a bar chart, it's like, no, if they can't tell that from the axis, that's a very bad chart. You can't, no data labels. You're like, well, we want to show a little bit of a difference. Couldn't do that. It could be at times slightly limiting because right now we don't necessarily have web publication standards for web reports, and that's one of the things that I want to do with my particular part of the agency moving forward, try to get a couple more interactions. That way our legislators, who are really our main audience, they're going to be able to interact with the data and it becomes a little bit more real for them. That way they can make the decisions they need to make. The other thing is we have to look at I always remind my team that we have 3 audiences in particular. The first audience, most important audience, is the legislature. They need us, and we exist solely to service them and to give them the information that they need. Then after that, I would say the general public. We work for state government and we work for the people. So there are definitely an audience that we need to keep in mind. People are going to read our reports other than the legislature. And then thirdly, researchers. So we want to keep it interesting for all of our audiences while keeping in mind our primary audience. So that's a little bit about the context in which I work. I know it's sort of a little bit different because I get my research agenda, and that's the good and the bad thing. I get it, so I don't have to really worry about it. I don't come up with questions, but it's also I don't have that input into it. I'm going to introduce next my friend Billy Buchanan.
All right, so I don't know if Bart and Kara like surprises, so I guess we're going to find out. So I'm going to try a different thing, especially because they were K-12 teachers before, and all my teaching is in the higher ed realm. So anyone who's ever had to develop a report, research, dashboard, anything like that, for anyone in their agency, stand up. Okay, now, those of you who are standing, if you have always delivered a product where no one has requested any changes whatsoever, sit down. Okay, so we can see everyone's still standing. You can all sit down now. And this actually gets to how I wanted to think about and frame research agendas. And it's actually really cool that the keynote kind of touched on this. So our school district in Lexington, Kentucky, has about 42,000 students. And when I first got there last summer, the very first big thing that I had to tackle was developing an RFP and putting out an RFP for a data warehouse and a BI platform. But having experienced the pain that apparently everyone else in the room has experienced before, with you deliver what you think people are asking for, and as soon as they get it, they tell you that they need 20,000 other things to it, or that they need changes for everything that you just spent all the time developing. I also wanted to build some other stuff into that RFP. So just like the keynote was talking about using short iterations to kind of improve the product that's being delivered to your customers, so to speak, that's one of the things that I built into our RFP. So we made sure that whatever vendor we went with would provide us a platform where we could A/B test things. So instead of doing kind of the typical thing that I think happens across all our organizations, where you get someone who makes a request, hey, can you add a filter to this? Or, hey, it'd be really cool if this was a drop down instead of a bunch of check boxes. What ends up happening is they don't necessarily know that there's an inherent maintenance cost associated with all those things. Your staff have to take time to actually make those changes. If the platform changes, they need to take time to make sure that they're updated and still working properly. You need to take the time to test it before you roll it into production. So one of the big things that I was interested in terms of talking about was really how do you form a research agenda based on your data products. So how do we improve doing what we do for our customers using experimental design or using research, so that we can actually go back to customers and say, we heard it. We understand that this would make your life easier if you had access to this. But we A/B tested this with all of the users in the district, and it doesn't seem to make a substantial enough difference to justify the additional costs that we have to incur. We're not able to be as responsive to other requests that we might have. That could be more important to everyone else in the district, because now we're spending all of this time maintaining small features that only one or two people might end up using. So that's really kind of where I was coming from, was more continuous improvement. So using things like A/B testing to really kind of iterate quickly and develop and improve the products that we're all delivering and being asked to deliver. And now I'll turn it over to Kara.
Great, thank you. So I'm coming from Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland, and it's just outside Washington, D.C. There's about 159,000 students, over 200 schools, and it's a very diverse district. We have about 30% white students, about 30% Latino, 22% African American, and about 14% Asian. And students speak, I think, over 150 different languages. So, big, diverse district. I work in the Office of Shared Accountability in the central office, and the Office of Shared Accountability has our testing division, it has applied research, and then it has program evaluation, which is where I am. The program evaluation unit puts out several reports annually, and we're also moving towards research and evaluation briefs, and just typically our audience is very busy, and so we want to do as much as we can to think upfront about how we present these findings in a way that will be very accessible to them. In terms of how we put together our agenda, our associate superintendent comes to us and asks us, what do you guys think we should be doing? So we get input from all of the program evaluation staff. And what I typically think about lot of money on, and B, are there questions that I can try to answer that would inform a decision? So the idea being that I don't want to spend tons and tons of time on a project that isn't going to really help the district make a better decision about anything to be put out there. I think it's more valuable when there are questions that can be answered. And to that point, we also have a system where program staff can request an evaluation. And that's really valuable because then you have a built-in audience for the work that you're doing, right? I mean, they had some questions that they wanted answered to either help them improve their program or to make some decision that they have to make, and we can provide information that informs that. So one example of that is a project that I've just started working on recently, and it's looking at our higher education partnerships. They're looking at all their MOUs with higher ed partners, and they're trying to see if the tuition reimbursement that we give to our employees to get master's degrees or certificates is actually meeting the needs of the district in terms of, what are our critical shortage areas? Are we growing our own STEM teachers and special ed teachers and, providing enough ESOL teachers to fill the county's needs? And then similar to what Bart was talking about in Kentucky, there's a process for data and text reviews of the report, and it gets reviewed by the associate superintendent. So from the time you finish a report to the time it actually gets posted on the website, it's usually at minimum a month and probably more like 2 months. So we did say earlier that we wanted you to walk out of this with something to bring back to your agency. So we want you to have time to work on your own research agendas and your own questions about that. And in order to sort of frame that work a little bit, we've held out the strategic use of data rubric, and what we're going to do, if you guys have them in front of you at your tables, I'm going to just kind of focus on this exemplary category, right? So this is just, in an ideal world, if we could do this work really, really well, what would it look like? So what are the things we want to think about? This is formal monitoring of our programs against their goals and targets. The second part is about using research to further drive internal research. And I know in my county, probably in a lot of places, sometimes people think that if the research wasn't done in your particular context, that it's not valuable. And they want to see it with their own students and with their own set of teachers, and they want to know that it's going to work for them. So I do think, people can be encouraged to use what's out there already. And we can say, well, it may or may not look like that if we implement this here, but this is what we know from prior studies. And this is maybe identifying things that we should be looking out for, or specific questions that we should be asking, or pieces of implementation fidelity that are really important to pay attention to. Another thing is attention on result. This is important for getting your audience's attention to just, have this one page where you think about the board presentation, even thinking about like the meeting structures. And, if you're bringing in external researchers or, having that relationship set up from the beginning where you say, okay, what's going to be the presentation format? How often are you going to check in? Are you going to be talking to program staff and make sure that they're involved in the process all along the way? And then another thing to think about is impact and cost effectiveness. We typically present our findings in effect sizes, so it's kind of a comparable measures across whatever you're studying. And then the link at the bottom is for the Cost Benefit Center at Teachers College at Columbia. They have a ton of resources on their website about different cost studies that they've done, and cost analyses, their cost effectiveness, and their cost benefit studies. 3 different types of approaches to looking at this. And they also have, it's online, it's free, a cost out toolkit. And what the cost out toolkit does, it has like a database of prices, and it helps you work through all the different adjustments that you need to make to your prices, depending on, the life of the equipment that you're purchasing, or, is it a fixed cost or is it a variable cost? So there's all kinds of little nitty-gritty details that the cost out toolkit really walks you through and helps you with. So I thought this was really valuable. I think we in our agency haven't done a ton of this type of work yet, but it's very much in demand. There's a real appetite for it from our superintendents. So the other part of the rubric that's relevant to our discussion is evaluation and decision making. So ideally, you have evaluation plans for all your major initiatives. And you can define major initiatives in a lot of different ways. As I mentioned earlier, when I think about major initiatives, I think about the things that we're spending a lot of money on, or maybe things that are just really high profile. And another agencies, I've seen them do a really good job of making sure that any tech that they're purchasing from outside or outside vendors are being evaluated. And that part of that whole process of bringing them into the district in the first place, you know, you say, we're going to evaluate this and we're going to see whether or not it's working. And when I went to the rapid cycle evaluation session the other day, and what I really liked about that coach was that it had you set up a plan in the very beginning. And in the plan, you say what you're looking for. You say, I think this intervention is going to improve student achievement by 5 points or something like that, right? And then in the plan, before you even do the research, you say, if it doesn't, this is what I'm going to do. So you can say right up front, like, if this doesn't do what I want it to do, I'm going to discontinue use, or I'm not going to expand it. Or if it does do what I want it to do, we'll expand it to 5 more schools. So you can kind of set up a plan for how the results will be used even before you start working on it. And, you know, obviously get buy-in from all the stakeholders about that. But I think that's an interesting approach to trying to get people to take the use of evaluation results more seriously. Another opportunity for people like you who are in agencies is that you can kind of identify the different possibilities that exist for having a strong empirical design for your research. So it's so often the case that somebody says they want to have a program evaluation done and the program is already being implemented, and you know that cat's out of the bag. Like you can do an implementation study, or you know there are things you can do, but it's definitely nice to have people who are embedded who might be able to notice, like, hey, this is a program where we have too many kids who want to attend it, and so we use a lottery to decide who goes. That's a really nice opportunity for a natural experiment. So you can get more at the causal impact. Because a lot of times, what you're being asked to do is too late to identify the causal impact, or you're not going to randomly assign students to things. And so you can tell people something about the program, but you might not be able to tell them exactly what they want to know, if what they want to know is this specific thing having an impact. There's also, you know, you're in a good position to notice the sudden policy shift that can be used to do like a difference in difference or test scores, programs where you assign students by test scores, so you can do a regression discontinuity with those. So those, I had a resource slide at the end of it that, like, if you want more resources on any of the specific analytics, I really like Methods Matter, the book by Renee and Willett. And they have Stata and SAS code online as well. So all that, is, you know, the code online is freely available, which is really nice. And then finally, this use of evaluation, which goes back to what I said earlier, which is just, you know, what are the decisions that this evaluation can make. So when I'm thinking about developing my research agenda, or I have to prioritize things, if I know something is not likely to inform a decision, it's just not a top priority, right? You know, there's probably other better uses of your time. Okay, so what we're going to do now, what we were thinking based on the survey results that we got from people, is to divide into 3 groups and have people who have no research agenda or very early stage, and then people who have an emerging research agenda, and people who have a developed research agenda at another table. And then once you're at your table, we'll have you pair up and introduce yourself, and then we'll go into the discussion questions. And we do want you to have something to kind of take home, so you can use a chart paper and marker to write things down. If you prefer writing in a book, that's fine too. We can take pictures of the chart paper and we can share that. We can share the notes on Sketch after the session and type those up. So again, the idea is just to make this very relevant for you. And we have a set of discussion questions here. So in terms of logistics, do we want to have like one table here, one table here, one table here?
Let's go back to the last one, that way people
Yeah.
can see what So if we could all think about where you are in your design stage right now. So if you might have answered no research agenda at a very early stage, maybe let's move you guys sort of like between these 2 tables, here-ish. If you're at emerging research agenda, over there. And if you answer that you have already developed research agenda, maybe right over there. Okay? So please do that. Also, when you're just try to introduce yourselves, that way you sort of know who you might want to pair up with. Okay, so try talking. introduce yourself, see where you are in terms of what you might want to study, what you might not, and then